With the NFL offseason mostly wrapped up, mini camps, OTAs in the books, it is time for my annual quarterback rankings. I rank from 32 to 1 all projected 32 NFL starters for this year. This isn't like the PFF list we broke down last month of, factoring in long-term, all this stuff. This year, 2025, my list from 32 to 1. At number 32, I'm going to go Tyler Shough, the Saints' projected starter. Obviously, he's competing with Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener. I do think Shough ends up getting the nod. They took him in the second round. Maybe he ends up being good, but as a 7-year college player with an extensive injury history who doesn't play well under pressure, typically has to be kept clean, I've got him at 32 entering this year. Okay, 31, Daniel Jones. Doesn't really matter if it's him or Anthony Richardson. I'm putting Jones because Richardson's hurt right now. He's got a shoulder issue, so I think Jones has the slight inside track to start at this point in time. We'll see if he can play like he did a few years ago, but I am not having high hopes for that Colts quarterback situation. Same thing in Cleveland. I'd rather have Joe Flacco than Daniel Jones, so I'll put Flacco here. I don't know if it's going to be him. Kenny Pickett. Could Shedeur Sanders win the job? Probably not for week 1, but same deal there. Whoever starts week 1 probably will not be starting by the midway point of the season. Okay, 29, Justin Fields with the Jets. Obviously signed a nice little deal, 2 years, $40 million. We'll see if that works out. The key for him in the Jets is just don't turn the ball over. If he plays like he did in Pittsburgh last year, just take care of the ball, make good decisions, don't try to be a hero, then I think the Jets can be scrappy. If he gets turnover prone, starts fumbling a lot like he did in Chicago, things could get ugly there. We'll see how it plays out. Okay, at 28, I've got Cam Ward, a fellow rookie as well for the Titans. Wanted to put him a few spots higher, but I do think there has to be an element of we haven't even seen him play yet. All signs seem to be good so far in Tennessee. I like him. I think there are some growing pains that are going to take place, but certainly has a lot of ability. Are you buying Cam Ward stock? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think I am. I think he's got the right mindset. He's got the right mentality. He's got enough physical gifts, so I'm going to buy Cam Ward stock here. I got Bryce Young, 27. I wanted to flip these, but I'll give Young a little benefit of the doubt. He came back and played better down the stretch last year. I still think overall we've seen more bad than good, but he's at least played, and the last we saw of him was at least decent. Okay, 26, J.J. McCarthy. I'll give him the advantage over Young in this spot and Cam Ward, even though he hasn't played either. I think if you had Cam Ward and J.J. McCarthy in the same draft, they probably would have gone similar range. But mostly I'm giving McCarthy the edge. He has been in the league for a year, and he's got Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, and company, so I'll give him the slightest of nods here, but I think you could easily flip him and Cam Ward. 25, Michael Penix, same deal. I think all these guys are bunched together, mostly unknowns, right? We saw Penix play a little bit last year, saw some flashes, so I'll give him the advantage over McCarthy since he's actually played. I do like his arm strength and arm talent a little bit more than JJ, so eager to see all these young guys play this year. Obviously, a pivotal year for Bryce Young in year 3, rookie year for Cam Ward, and then wild card year for both McCarthy and Penix in year 2. Okay, Russell Wilson, 24. He kind of is what he is, but serviceable starter, throws good deep ball. I think he can at least hold down the fort for the Giants early on until they're ready to go to Jackson Dart. They obviously have Jameis Winston as well. Okay, I got Trevor Lawrence at 23. You start breaking this down, you can get a lot of guys bunched in a similar range. I'm just not high on T-Law, man. The last 2 years, he's played poorly when he's played, and he's been injured a lot. In that, I think it was 2022, he played pretty well and they won that playoff game, but the 2 years prior to that and the 2 years after that has not been great. So, you look at the large sample size, it's now littered with injuries and underwhelming play. So, I'm not saying it's over. They brought in Liam Cohen for a reason, but clock's ticking, man. I think T-Law needs to put together a good year. I'll give Sam Darnold the advantage here. Listen, you could have a different conversation of who would I rather gamble on long term, but even then I'm not sure I would pick Trevor Lawrence. Darnold's cheaper. He's coming off an excellent season. Obviously didn't finish really good at all, which is why I have him down in the 20s. Otherwise you could argue him higher. But I think going to a new place, obviously a lot of poor seasons before that, so it's hard to put him up in the top 15 because he's had such a unique path. But if he has another really good year, he could loft himself into the top 15 heading into 2026. Okay, Aaron Rodgers at 21. Played decent last year, finished the year pretty strong. Darnold clearly had a better year last year, but, Rodgers, obviously, you would trust to at least be a little bit more consistent in all likelihood. I think the ceiling of what Darnold could provide is certainly higher, but with Rodgers, you at least are going to get serviceable play week in and week out. I don't think it's enough of a needle mover for Pittsburgh to make a deep run, but it should be better than what they had in Russell Wilson, especially down the stretch last year. Okay, guys, we're trying to get to 11,000 subscribers here on 4Verts. If you want free and daily NFL and college football videos here on the channel, hit that subscribe button, spread the word, text this link to a friend, youtube.com/@4Verts, and let's keep this ball rolling. I got Bo Nix at 20. He's a tough eval for me, but had a pretty good rookie year. I think he had some good circumstances with Sean Payton, but I'm not quite ready to loft him ahead of some of his peers from last year's draft, even though statistically he played better. Like Drake Maye. I'm still going to gamble on the upside of 6'4", 6'5", 225, rocket arm. They have more of a stable situation now in New England. I would still rather have Drake Maye for 2025 than Bo Nix. I think if you put Drake Maye with Sean Payton, you'd be cooking with gas, just like with Caleb Williams as well, who now has Ben Johnson and a loaded arsenal, not selling on that talent whatsoever. So that's how I bunch these guys. I liked Caleb more than Drake just a little bit heading into the draft. Nothing from last year changes that. Even though Bo Nix had a better year than both, I don't think it was so much better that I'm just switching my order all of a sudden. Jayden Daniels, different story, because he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league as a rookie, which is why we'll get to him a little bit later. Okay, Jordan Love at number 17. Probably the biggest mover down compared to last year, right? I think most people would have had him, at least fringe top 10 heading into last season after how he finished 2023. Kind of had an average season last year, dealt with a couple minor injuries. So big year for him. I think you get into this kind of 12 to 17 range, you could really kind of pick and choose the order. Tua Tagovailoa. I would take Jordan Love long-term because Tua, with the head injuries, the size concerns, but I think Tua is a little bit more consistent than Jordan Love week in and week out, so I give him the slight edge. And I think he got bonus points from me last year because when he went down, they looked like the worst team in the league, especially offensively. They couldn't function without him. So he kind of earned some brownie points from me just for how they played without him. Now, I don't think you can win a Super Bowl with Tua unless circumstances are perfect. I could envision a scenario where that happened with a Jordan Love just because of his physical attributes, but for now I'll have Tua a spot higher. Got Geno Smith at 15. I think this is kind of what he's been, right? Since he's reemerged into the spotlight, he's a good starter, which, hey, 15th ranked quarterback in the NFL, right? On his best day, can he flirt with top 10? Yeah. On his worst, is he more like in the low 20s? Yeah, but he's pretty consistent. He's not great. He's definitely not bad. I think 15 is a good spot, and certainly if you're a Raiders fan, if you said, hey, we have the 15th best quarterback in the NFL now, that is a whole lot better than what they've had for several years. Kyler Murray at 14, I still remain higher on him than other people do. There are limitations. The size is a concern, but unlike Tua, his ability to move and escape and make shit happen on the run, both as a passer and a runner, I'm still not ready to quit on that talent. The flashes are just so high. So big year for him. We'll see what happens in Arizona. A lot of pressure there for them to win starting this year as they're in year 3 of kind of this new regime with Monty Ossenfort and that whole organization. Jonathan Gannon is the head coach. I got Dak at 13. I think going into this season, he's a little lower than probably what he's been when he's been healthy. I mean, 2 years ago, he got second in the MVP. So I think more years than not, he's been inside the top 10. But injuries have piled up. He's had 2 in the last 4 years where he's missed significant time. So I've got him a little bit lower. I do think he is a tier above these other guys that he's ahead right here. I think this is kind of when you get into that next tier of player. How is Dak Prescott rated in your opinion? Do you think he's overrated? Do you think he's underrated? Or do you think he's properly rated? I think he's one of these players that throughout the course of his career, it's changed, right? I think earlier on, he was probably overrated, right? Because he had that rookie year. They went 13-3 and all this stuff, and people were ready to anoint him. It's like, that's probably too soon. And I think now it's almost gotten so negative on him that, like, I think he might be actually underrated now. It's like Dallas, when he's healthy, wins like 10 games a year on average. So let me know what you guys think. Overrated, underrated, or properly rated. I got Brock Purdy at 12. I think Dak and Brock are very comparable. I think Dak, brings a little more upside when he's fully healthy, but injuries have piled up. Brock probably throws a better deep ball. He makes less money even on his new contract. So I'll have Brock slightly ahead of him. Obviously, he's won more in the playoffs too, including beating Dak head-to-head one time. So I'll give him the nod here. CJ Stroud at 11. Tough one to kind of evaluate here. Big year for him because his rookie year, kind of like Jayden last year, played like a top 5, top 7 guy. Last year he was probably closer to 15, but still buying CJ stock. I think he can do it all. I hope he leans into scrambling a little bit more because I think that's an underrated part of his arsenal. But he's a very kind of, at times, just kind of too committed to being a pocket guy, but he's certainly very capable. The O-line was a disaster last year. I don't love it on paper this year, so we'll see kind of how that goes. Okay, I got Baker up in the top 10 now. I think what he's done the last 2 years since going to Tampa. First year, Dave Canales is his OC, has a big-time bounce-back year. Canales becomes a head coach. Last year, Liam Cohen has an even better year. That guy becomes a head coach. So, I think Baker Mayfield is now proving that it's not just these guys are coming in and getting the most out of him. He is helping make these offensive coaches look good. And now, third OC in 3 years. If he has another big-time year this year, I don't see how you couldn't say he's a top 10 guy. I got Jared Goff at 9. I think these are very debatable, Baker and Goff. I think both are similar in the sense that they can make all the throws, but Goff especially doesn't move that well. Baker at 6 foot at times runs into issues with balls getting batted, but both are very, very good. If you give them time, they can deliver the football and play with a lot of confidence. I got Jayden Daniels at 8. I'm not trying to jump the shark too much. I think PFF had him at 5 or 6. But I think 8's fair. I mean, that Commanders roster wasn't exactly loaded last year, and they made the NFC Championship game. Had that been his second year, I'd probably have him more like 5 or 6. But I think 8's fair. Let's see if he can repeat last year and build upon it. Jalen Hurts at 7. Tough one for me, but listen, you go to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, you win one of them. Outplay Mahomes last year in the Super Bowl in particular. You got to give credit where it's due. Now, I think unlike some of these other guys, if you put Jalen Hurts in Tennessee, does it work? I don't really know. So that's why I can't put him a much higher than this. But I think you got to give your flowers for the team he's on. It's not his fault where he got picked and where he plays. He works very well. So I think he's firmly inside the top 10. I can't put him ahead of Justin Herbert, though. And I know Herbert's never won a playoff game. Hurts has won several. But listen, he was dragging 2 terrible head coaches to start his career. I think the playoff loss to Houston last year is the first time you can be like, okay, that's a Herbert loss, right? I think early on in his career, he's dealing with just these brutal circumstances from a coaching standpoint, but he shit the bed in the playoffs. Now, I'm still buying my stock. I still have him ahead of CJ Stroud, even though he lost that game to CJ. I just think he's got everything you want in a quarterback. He's big. He's athletic. He can run. He has a rocket arm. He can throw the ball downfield. He can operate in the quick game. He's tough as hell. He's coachable. He's not an ego guy. I just think he's got it all. He's just got to play better in the big game. So I'll put myself on record right here. If they do not win at least a playoff game this year, he will drop down my list heading into next year. I got Stafford at 5. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFC. He still sticks in there. He's tough. He will take hits. They almost beat the Eagles last year. They were a misblocked assignment away from probably stealing that game in Philadelphia in the snow. He's still very, very good. If you keep him clean, he can do it all. So big fan of his game. I think on any given Sunday, he can outplay any quarterback in the league. Joe Burrow at 4. 2 through 4 is really just pick your flavor. This guy has been injured a little more than the next 2 guys that we'll get to. He also hasn't won as much the last couple of years. So I think semantics-wise, I would give the edge to Lamar Jackson, who I have at 3, and then ultimately Josh Allen, who I have here at 2, because that's kind of been the pecking order of who's gotten the furthest, right? The one thing Burrow does have over the other 2 is he has beaten the Chiefs once in the playoffs, but that was also 4 years ago. The last 2 years they missed the playoffs. Burrow's had 2 season-ending injuries in 6 seasons in the NFL, so that's a minor concern. So I'd give Lamar and Josh the slightest of edges, but all 3 of these guys can be in the debate of who the second best quarterback in the NFL is, which is what I'll ask you here. Who would you have as that second best guy? Type JB for Joe Burrow, LJ for Lamar Jackson, or JA for Josh Allen. And then they're all chasing Patrick Mahomes. And look, I think the last 2 years, you could actually argue, has Josh Allen outplayed Mahomes in the regular season? Has Lamar? Has Burrow? Last year, certainly Burrow had a better year. But I just think Mahomes is in his own category of he's already won 3 Super Bowls. You trust him more than any other quarterback in the playoffs to find a way to win. Sure, the Bills have beaten the Chiefs, I think, 3 years in a row now in the regular season, but they can't beat them in the playoffs. So I can't give Josh Allen the nod over Mahomes in that situation. So everyone's chasing 15, and Jalen Hurts, I know he beat him, but there's a gap there. So that's a totally different deal. And the Eagles just had a much better team than the Chiefs did last year. There you have it. My QB rankings for 2025. Always a fun exercise. We'll see where things end up at the end of the year. Some of these quarterbacks near the bottom will get benched or may not even win the job. And Joe Flacco, Tyler Shough, or some of those other cases, Daniel Jones. So we'll see how that all plays out. My name is Harrison Graham. Let me know in the comments what you think of my list and what your list would be. And we'll see you guys next time.